through you, Mr.
Rob.
Chair. Excuse me.
Can you pull the microphone over, Rob? Just pull the microphone over to you.
Sorry. The last tranche of SHOs was gazetted in May this year, so consenting of those can carry on till May next year.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, my question, Mr. Chair, and I was cut off mid-point, but the point I was trying to make, and I just wanted to get confirmation, if you can't get this, if these applicants can't get their consent application through, whether it be through council or MB by May next year, it doesn't mean that the whole development has necessarily fallen over. There's a lot of information that they would have been able to develop for the purpose of structure planning, that if they couldn't get it through as an SHA, they could subsequently apply through a unitary plan process and have that matter considered as any other application would be considered under that unitary plan process. Is that correct?
So in terms of the three that you are referring to, those three are going through the plan variation process.
Yeah.
So yes, you're correct that if the plan variation process doesn't get completed before May, they could then use that information to request a plan change. For two of those areas, as you also have indicated in the meeting, they already have a live zoning under the unitary plan process, but there are appeals against, so they appealed the council alteration of their consent around traffic management issues. So that zoning is not live at the moment, which is why they're pursuing their plan variation. Well, we understand they might be pursuing their plan variation under the special housing area process, but there are other special housing areas that were in the last two tranches that have already had the plan variation matter resolved and are now going for their qualifying developments, which are the resource consents and building consents. So it's more than three that are in that situation. And Rob, I don't know, do you know how many are going through the consenting part of the process?
We've got about 340 qualifying developments in process at the moment. I would just point out that a number of those that were disestablished had lodged by the 16th of September. So their consents, so that 86 we talk about having been established, their consents, the bulk of them, I think 50 are under development, and another 25, I think, are actually lodged amongst those 300 lodged. So they'll carry on safely, even though the SHA doesn't exist.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Councillor Newman, are you complete on that? Thank you.
Yeah, leave it.
Thank you very much. Now, finally, I think...
Over consequential, could I ask one more question?
Okay, I've got Councillor Hills, and then finally...
I have a question.
Councillor Lee, and then I've got another question. So, members, I'm hoping, but look, I'll see how we go. Councillor Hills, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, I wasn't here for the original decisions on the council, but I want to support the recommendation. I don't necessarily agree with the special housing areas or the housing accord itself. In lots of ways, there have been, and as we can see anecdotally and probably evidentially, that there's lots of issues with it. Although I have seen some fantastic developments, things in my ward, especially the Housing New Zealand developments, that without this they may have still happened, but they seem to be trucking along, demolishing cold, mouldy, horrible housing and making some really good housing. The Panuku development in Northcote was largely, we worked really hard to increase the number of social houses in there, as well as some affordable housing, and there's going to be some to the market as well. If you look up at Orake, there's really good examples from Ngāti Whātua up there that are fantastic developments. So although there is lots of negative things, I've seen positives, and I don't know if us jumping in at this point affects some of the good things that are going on. And I also would not want MB to take over the something that we should be, taking the lead on. So although I know there's massive issues, I'd rather just support it and move on from here. That's my personal view. So.
Thank you. Councillor Lee, you've spoken, but you've got a question.
The question is, it's been pointed out to us that if we are not part of the housing accord, then this council has no role in processing the special housing areas. But in terms of resource consenting around those special housing areas, our role will continue?
No, Councillor Lee, the wording of the legislation says that the consent authority must be a signatory to the housing accord. So if we are not a signatory to the housing accord, i.e. we haven't agreed for it to be extended and it expires at the end of this month, then we can't be the consent authority. And where there is no consent authority, because obviously there is no other local government entity in Auckland, then it reverts to MB to take on that role.
So with discharge consents and all those technical things, a new organisation would have to take over. But wouldn't it be sensible for then the government to talk to this council, adult to adult, and resolve the differences?
Okay, thank you. And finally, Councillor Clow.
Yes, I'd just like Ms Perrott to just confirm, so any of these, if we don't do this and a number of these SHAs lapse, can you just confirm that therefore when they come back to do their developments in the future, there is absolutely no compulsion, indeed it's very unlikely they would have a 10% affordable housing component?
So if they do not proceed with the qualifying development process under the HASHA legislation, and after the date in May when it ceases, any development they do on their land just needs to comply with either the decision version of the unitary plan, or if it happens not to be operative on their section, it would be both the unitary plan and the legacy council, neither of which have any affordable housing requirements.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, I think you've heard answered about 4 times that this is an important matter of Auckland Council continuing to be the consenting authority. I think it's actually to vote against this, and it's up to you, it's up to us all, but it does send a dangerous message that we would want to relinquish that role as being a consenting authority. I would hope not. So I'll now put it to the vote. It's moved and seconded. All those in favour say aye.
By division.
By division, I'll take it by division, and I'll take my own vote first, which is 4. And if I can go to the Deputy Mayor as the second vote.
Deputy Mayor.
I think that should be called by the officer.
Point of order, Mr Chairman. You don't call the order of the vote. That's done by the committee secretary.
Yeah.
She's a woman.
He's only trying to help.
Thank you very much.
Good try.
So we've got the chair's vote as yes. Councillor Casey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
Yes.
Councillor Clow.
Yes.
Councillor Cooper.
Yes.
Councillor Filipina.
Aye.
Was that aye, sorry? Aye. Councillor Fletcher.
No.
Mayor Goff.
Yes.
Member Hinari.
Yep.
Councillor Hills.
Yes.
Councillor Denise Lee.
What?
Councillor Mike Lee.
No.
Member Namine.
Yes.
Councillor Newman.
Against.
Councillor Quacks.
Against.
Councillor Sayers.
Against.
Councillor Simpson.
For.
Councillor Stewart.
No.
Councillor Sir John Walker.
For.
Councillor Wayne Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Carried
Thank you,
50.
members. It's carried 15-6, and at that point I will call lunch. An adjournment for
10 minutes.
We get to vote on that.
I cancel. Yeah, it's not that much.
Let's